This is episode 34 of Art Talk, and today I have my friend Laurie Turner with me. And it occurred to me that she might be descendant from the famous British painter Turner.
Oh, we have a framed poster that says Turner at the Tate.
Yeah, but I have to ask her later. I will ask you. Laurie is a social media manager who had clients like Lisa Nichols. That's how we met. And John Asheroff. Those are not the smallest one. And with Laurie at the social media wheel, they experienced triple and quadruple digit organic growth on their social media platforms. They were able to relax knowing that their social media presence matched their voice, their brands were protected whilst growing without sacrificing quality. Their followers were acknowledged and nurtured while using cutting-edge marketing tools and techniques implemented to their best advantage. And as a result of working with Laurie, social media newbies, women 50 plus, lose their fear and gain confidence while acquiring new skills and growing their online presence. She says, "You have the wisdom, I'll teach you the technology." But apart from that, Laurie was, or maybe still is, I don't know, very good at surfing the waves. I've seen that. And is also a trained musician. So welcome, Laurie. I'm so excited to have you with me. And many artists use great social media. You could use a great social media manager as yourself. And being in your group on Facebook taught me already so much.
So thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. And it's always interesting to hear someone read an introduction for me because I forget all those things, I'm always looking forward. My brother-in-law is an artist and I try to help him with his social media, but he's stubborn. So
you have people who are stubborn. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially with artists, because they think, yeah, but I don't have any time for this. I need to work on my art. And that's true. But we come to that because before I dive into the questions, I have a quote. Social media is not a media. The key is to listen, engage, and build relationships. Do you know who said that?
Did I say that?
No, you didn't. It was David Alston. Maybe you know him.
Okay. I think I said something similar in another podcast. But I totally agree with that because that was the key to the success that I had with John Asseroff and with Lisa was all of the things mentioned in that quote because it's relationship building and it's trust building and people are smart and they can feel if you're trying to beat them over the head with a stick to get them to buy something. It just doesn't feel good. You haven't built a relationship with those people. And it really was no magic trick or it wasn't really a secret, although both of those people were in the secret. And I started to think about, gee, I worked for two people who were in the secret.
Yeah, I know because I remember that Lisa was there and John Asheroff too, right?
Yes, they both were. So I don't know how that happened. The universe just decided to align things and put it in my lap, and I took it and ran with it. And I'm self-taught. I didn't go to a university for a social media training. I'm 60 now, and I am what is my husband? The word he uses, autodidactic. So if I want to figure out how something is done, I go and learn it for myself. I'm self-taught. I'll go, and you and I had a discussion about how if you want to learn about something, you'll dig in and research and investigate and try to find all the information you can and absorb it and learn it yourself. And I've always been like that. My father was a mechanical engineer. He would and an inventor, and he would hand me things. If I said at Christmas, like, will you put this together for me? he would say, well, read the instructions and try it yourself. And if you can't do it yourself, then I can help you. And 9 times out of 10, I could figure it out for myself. So he was really teaching me how to learn by doing
Yeah.
and, that I could do it. So I think that's where that came from. But I love being a curious person. I love that you're a curious person. I learn as much from you as you think you learn from me and the group. And I so appreciate you sharing your wisdom about the things that you have learned.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even know that
Yeah,
because, yeah, I pick things up and I see a question and I just answer. Um,
I
yeah.
appreciate that so much.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, the thing about figuring things out, and the most important thing you said is that your father taught you to believe that you were able to do it. And I think that belief is the most important thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
it
Believing
is.
in yourself and believing, because you teach now, well, in our group, um, we're all 50 plus. We have the same age. I'm slightly older. And
More, just a little more wisdom.
yeah, and it's just a number. But
It is just a number.
uh, uh, it is true, because you see that a lot of people still have this fear of technology and fear of what social media is or can be. And that's why I thought this quote was so important, because the key is to listen, engage, and build relationships,
Right.
where most of the people are afraid to even do anything. They're like, "Ugh."
Yeah, they get frozen. And I think what I hear a lot is they don't want to do it wrong. They don't want to do it wrong. And I always try to say anything you do that you decide you don't like, you can delete
Yeah,
and you can do it over. And so there is no wrong because it's supposed to be a representation of you and you interacting and listening and engaging with other people. And there is no, it's not wrong if you do it your way. It's your way. So the technology, I think they're afraid they'll make a mistake with the technology. And I think that the term technology immigrant is really appropriate because we weren't born in the country of technology. We have all, you know, had to adopt it and learn the different customs and the way that all that stuff works in a different way, I feel, than like my children. Like my youngest son is 19 now, and it was so intuitive for him to pick up a device and just understand immediately how to get somewhere, and he couldn't even tell me how he knew.
I've seen something weird about that,
Yeah.
but it's true. A
Yeah,
two-year-old,
and
a
for me, I
two-year-old
have to look it
trying.
up and read all the
Yeah, yeah,
steps
yeah,
and
yeah.
pause it and then look and then do it. And that's how I learned everything.
Mhm.
So,
But it's, yeah, it's
that belief
true.
from my dad that, I never worry when some challenge presents itself, whether it be, like a living situation or a money situation or, any kind of situation, because I always believe that I can figure it out.
And that's so important. That is
Yeah.
so incredibly important. I think
That
that
was
is the first rule, or the security you need to give your kids, that you give them that security that no matter what, you will figure it out.
right. And that tomorrow's another day and you'll wake up and your eyes will open and you can try again. And I think being an event, he really was passionate about inventing and making things better. And I believe that that's super creative. You might not think that's an artistic thing, but I always felt like it was because
Yeah,
he
but
was imagining
creation,
how it could be
yeah,
better.
creation is not per se artistic, or being an artist. You can be a creator. Like, I've done a specific test to see where I am, how my brain works, so that I
Right.
know why I do what I do and how I react, and what I need to make it all work. But there's so many people who have the same brain types, the same neurology. They are creators, innovators. And one of them, for instance, is Elon Musk. Well, he's not an artist at all. He does Tesla and spaceships, etc., etc. But he uses his imagination.
Mhm.
Same Richard Branson, the same with Einstein. Those people were very right brain driven, and they could imagine, and it comes from the imagination and transfer to the logic brain, the verbal half of our head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I can imagine that he was absolutely a creator somehow, figuring out how you can make things better. And yeah.
I never worried if a toy broke or, an appliance broke or whatever. He would figure out how to fix it. It was like magic.
Mm-hmm.
Or my daughter had this little toy where these penguins go down a slide and then they march back up and they go down a slide. And it had this annoying squeaker on it. And he took the whole thing apart and put it back together and said, "Look, I fixed it. No more, no more squeaking, you know." But
Yeah.
he was super creative and really smart and really funny and always made me feel like go and do it and try it first. And so what if if it doesn't work out? Well, come to me if you can't figure it out and we'll do it together. So having, his confidence to tell me to go try it myself is huge. It's something that still impacts me every day.
And it impacts the people in your group and apparently also your clients, because that's your whole attitude. Don't
Yeah.
worry, don't worry.
No, don't
I'll
worry.
figure it out.
I'll find the workaround. Everything is figure outable.
Yeah.
Lisa would always tease me and she would call me the secret sauce. And I would say, well, the secret sauce is finding a workaround. So if
Yeah.
we can't get there this way, then how else can we get there? And I used to actually rep an art supply for an art supply company, Ranger Industries, who makes all kinds of inks and stuff and in the 90s. And they would send me ink that was supposed to be marketed or made for a specific purpose. And this is one of the times I would never read the instructions. And I would look at what the properties of it was. And then I would think of, well, how else could I use this ink that they would send me? Well, it's permanent ink and it's non-toxic. So what if I used it on glass dishes under, not on the serving side, but on the underside of a clear glass dish? Or what if I used it on tile to make a pattern in a kitchen or a bathroom? Or what if I used it on a lampshade? Or what if I would do so many things I wasn't supposed to with the ink. And then I would box up all my samples and send them back to Ranger. And they would say, we never thought of using it for all of those things. And I credit my dad for that too, because he was always trying to figure out how you could recycle something you already had or use it for another purpose. Like if the properties of it were a certain thing, like if it was permanent ink, well, how many other applications would there be for permanent ink? How many things could I create with an ink that wouldn't wash off with water or moisture? And how much fun could I have with that? So that's really what I was doing before I got into social media. And then I moved to Vermont into this farm, and the opportunities to travel were not as many. And I really was wanting to be home with the kids. So I had to pivot. And the pivot was into social media. And the part of it that I really love, other than the teaching and seeing the light bulb go off over people's heads and seeing them get the results they want and connect with the people they want to connect, I love the creative part. I love playing in Photoshop or Canva or editing video or, doing some digital art creation. I just love that side of it. That's the side of it that's the fun part. If I'm in the zone for a day, I'll make 20 different, graphics on Canva, or I'll go in and edit. I feel like editing, I'll edit, 3, 4 videos in a day. So that part sort of keeps me going through all of the boring input part. But
Yeah. 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 Fantastic. you answered immediately also the first thing, because how did you become a social media manager and what specifically sparked that interest? You kind of
Well,
answered that. Yeah.
well, it's a little interesting story. So after I moved here, I live on 100 acres and on a dirt road on the side of a mountain. The nearest McDonald's is an hour away. I'm not by any normal, retail existence. There's a farmer's market and a grocery store and a gas station and a post office. That's about it. So I was home with 3 kids and then 4 kids, and my husband was traveling for work, and I started selling stuff on eBay.
Hmm.
And I had all these rubber stamps, these rubber art stamps that I had. I worked for not only Ranger, but for a company called Stamp Francisco, run by Picasso Gaglione, who is one of the founders of the New York School of Correspondence and is very into Dada. And I loved all of the imagery that they were using in their art stamps. And so I had boxes and boxes of rubber stamps, like, these kind of stamps. And some of them I just thought, well, I'll keep my favorites and I'll get rid of the rest. And so I started selling rubber stamps and leftover art supplies and, tchotchkes that I just wanted to get rid of and see how much money I could make. And so I got so good at it that someone said to me, will you teach other entrepreneurs how to sell their things on eBay? And I thought, oh, how fun, because I'm out here with no neighbors and the kids go to school and I have, a toddler in the other room. I was, wanting to do something. And I was just shocked at how much I loved it. Well, the woman who was the head of this group decided 14 or 15 years ago, I can't remember now. I would say 13 years, but I've been saying 13 years for a long time. And she was in San Diego and she was also in this eBay group with me. And she was a technology teacher. And she said, I got pink slipped by the state of California and Arnold Schwarzenegger, and I don't have a job anymore. And I'm going to start a social media marketing agency. And this was at the birth of Facebook and the birth of Canva and, way at the beginning. And I'm like, what do you mean social media? She said, well, I'm going to have an agency and I want you to work for me. And I said, well, I don't know anything about that. And she said, you do, you just don't know that you do. So my first social media experience was working with her, and it was shopping malls in San Diego, and Old California Restaurant Row in San Diego, and actually a shopping center where Lisa and I went to Trader Joe's together to get food for dinner. And I had this, she said, what, your face looks funny. And I said, this Trader Joe's was one of my first social media jobs. And she's like, oh, you're kidding. She got all excited um, and told the checkout people and, but it sort of had come full circle because that's where I started. And this same friend of mine answered an ad in Craigslist in San Diego for John Assaraf. And she said, I need an intern. And would you, be my intern? I said, sure. Uh, I would love to do that. And so after 2 weeks, she left, but I stayed and John kept me on for almost 3 years after that. And so
Not
that's
as
how I
an
got into
intern.
social media. Yeah, as an intern, as a 50
Jeez.
some year old intern,
Wow. Okay.
making $15 an hour, which seemed like a lot of money to me then because I was working at a college where they couldn't even pay me 13. So I was
Mm.
like, well, being an
Yeah.
intern is a step up. But I had a good marketing manager there and he taught me so much. Anything I wanted to learn, he was willing to teach me. I really worked really hard, but I learned really fast.
Hmm.
And that was really where I cut my teeth on big time social media. I did some coaching with Mari Smith because John bought her coaching package. So I got to be connected with her very early on when she was teaching a lot of people how to use Facebook for business. And in between Lisa and John, I worked retail for a jeweler, big jeweler in the US and Canada. And so I got to see sort of the retail side of social media marketing with, the brands like Rolex and David Yurman and Marco Bisigo and Mickey Meadow Pearls, and you had an art director and a photographer. It was a marketing department, which I'd always worked by myself. So it was good for me to get out of the silo and go work with another department because I didn't understand my skill set. I really didn't. And a lot of the people in the department were artists who came from Burton snowboards, who were designing all the art that went on the snowboards. And when Burton closed their business here and moved it to Austria, all these artists who were used to doing marketing stuff, didn't have a chance to showcase their skills. Sorry, my German dog wants to go outside. Okay, go. Go. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So it was great that, I was with all these people that were in a department because there were like 12 of us in there. So having an art director and the photographer and all of the people who were visually creating stuff for our brand, it was really interesting to work with them. And one of the women in the department said, at Burton, 4 people are doing what you're doing now, and you don't understand what your skill set is. So that was really valuable for me because I just thought I should just do everything. And she said, you don't understand. You're 4 people did what you're doing as one person. So that was good for me to have that experience between John and Lisa because I understood what my skill set was more once I started working with Lisa. So
Wonderful. Yeah. I remember you sitting there sometimes from the car when we had our meetings. Yeah.
Yes, 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 because during the pandemic, when you live rural like I live here, the internet services aren't so great.
Mhm.
And we're on Starlink because it's the fastest internet that I can get. And otherwise, there's no other options other than DSL, and it's very, very slow. It's really difficult to work on that slow speed.
Yeah.
And I had 2 teenagers and my husband and myself all trying to work off of that slow speed. So I would just pack up my laptop
And
and
sit
my
in the car.
phone and my iPad, and the elementary school said you could use the internet for free because a lot of the kids out here didn't even have the options that we have for internet, and they had to go to class. So there'd be all these people sitting in the parking lot with their kids going to school, and I would have all my setup, working with Lisa when she did her 30 days of possibility. So, and I took a picture of the setup in my car. So how I had like a suction cup on the windshield, the phone attached, and I had a shoe box that I could put my laptop on, and I had pillows in there I took from my couch so I could be comfortable sitting in my car. But if there's a will, there's a way, and you'll find a way to make it work. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
And you by the way, you have a loving tribe of media newbies, of which I am
Yeah.
one of them in the group. What made you create this group? Where you, by the way, give a huge amount of very valuable information.
Oh, thank you. That's actually what keeps me inspired to keep being on social media. And I love newbies. I love beginners. I always say, yes, a beginner, you're my person. So if it's someone who's really, really afraid and doesn't feel comfortable with the technology, it's my goal to increase that comfort level so they can, share who they are and what they have to offer to the world. And when I think about the impact of people like you and Dwana and Brisa and all the people, all the women that are in that group, I just think, wow, if they didn't understand how to use social media, people would be missing out on so much. You know, I just, and why I decided to create the group. So I was at Speak and Write in San Diego, and it was right after my mother passed away. And I said, I don't want to teach a breakout session, but I'll assist Lakeisha Michelle. And so I was writing stuff down on the, flip chart for her and just being her assistant. And all of a sudden she said, well, how many of you would like to learn the basics of social media from Lori? And all these hands went up. She's like, Lori's going to teach a 8-week social media class, And would you be able, would you be willing to pay X amount of dollars for this class? And they said yes. And she's like, swipe your card at the back of the room. And I must have looked like a deer in the headlights because I was like, what did you just do? Like, I don't even, I don't have a class. She's like, you'll figure it out. It starts in 2 weeks. So you'll have time to figure it out. And so I made the group to go with that class. And after teaching that class, and I have to thank Lakeisha for that, because if she wouldn't have sort of given me that shove, I probably would still be wondering about it, and the group would never have existed.
Yeah.
And the first round of students that I had were so great. I didn't even want the class to be over. I know how teachers feel at the end of the year when their class moves on to the next level, because you get to know them and you miss them when they
Yeah.
move and you
Yeah.
want to have reconnection with them. So I
Yeah.
thought, I'm keeping this group open because I want to stay connected with everybody that I've gotten to know or worked with or helped or learned from, and it's great. I almost feel like we need to have like little reunions once a year or something and just all get on Zoom and catch up with each other, which is why I was so grateful that you wanted to do the member spotlight for me, uh, because I think there's so many of us that really haven't seen each other in a while, need to catch up. There might be new people from another tribe that don't know who you are and what you do in the world. And I think it's so important to share that and reintroduce yourself to people, because there's always somebody new. And I like to keep that group small. So it's people I know or people that say to me, like Karen, if you said, I have a friend who really would benefit from this group, can I add them to the group? That's perfectly fine with me. I just don't want to open it up to the public because I think it needs to be a safe space
Yeah.
where people are
Yeah.
comfortable asking questions. And the one thing that a lot of people have said to me is, you're the first person who didn't make me feel dumb about not
Mm-hmm.
knowing anything about
Mm-hmm.
social media.
Mm-hmm.
And that I just want to keep that's kind of sacred to me. I want to keep that space safe for anyone to ask any question that they want to ask. And no question is too small, or, there's no dumb
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. No, that's true. There is no dumb question. And also, I ask questions and can have like, yeah, maybe it sounds stupid, but I simply can't find it anymore.
No, I love that. I love that when you do that because it inspires me. I know what you guys want to know then, and then I can go make a video about it or explain where things are, or how do you find this, or how does this little feature work? And it gives me ideas for content, because I could blab about stuff all day long and it might not be anything you want to know. But if you're asking me questions, then I know it's valuable. I know that if you're asking, then there's somebody else in the group who's wondering the exact same thing. And I've seen it over and over again where if I answer your question, 3 more people say, yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Or that
Yeah.
happened to me too.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, the bravery of asking those questions just benefits everybody in the group. What does Lisa say? Teach one, teach all, like teach
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. And do you have a course, by the way, apart from the group that came from a course? Do you have a specific course somewhere teachable, or
Well,
where
I've been
artists
challenged.
can go, for instance, and learn about everything you know? For
Well,
their artists.
I've been challenged by a friend of mine in Toronto to offer a 6-week course, and it's by inbox only. And I
Okay.
I want to keep it to only, you know, 15 people at the most, because I
It's a
think if
pilot.
it's a pilot course, but I also think that everyone comes in with a different level of knowledge,
Yeah.
a different comfort level, a different set of, pain points that need to be addressed. And social media is such a vast field now. It was very narrow when I first started. It was basically just Facebook.
Yeah.
And now it's, multiple platforms. It's not just, still images anymore. It's video, and it's short video, and it's editing and strategy and hashtags and all those things, which I didn't have to worry about in the beginning. And it's such a there's so many buckets, and the buckets are so deep that if I keep it to 15 people, then I can get to know each person.
Yeah.
I feel like I can personalize a little more what they're learning, how they're learning it, make it applicable to, what their pain points are. And because different industries require different strategies. Strategies for artists are going to be very different than strategies for someone who has a coaching business.
Yeah.
So, there are basics that are the same, but the strategy is going to be very different just because their field and their business is very different.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the problems. I mean, you see a lot of people say, yeah, I know how to do it. And also for artists, by the way. But the thing you said yesterday, that using hashtags maybe isn't even
Yeah,
good. And
I
I
was
had
really
like,
excited about that.
oh, yes, yes, I hate those hashtags. They don't do anything for me.
No, and what they're finding is that there's certain hashtags that you use that trigger bots to
Yeah,
spam your account.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
you've probably experienced this if you've switched up a hashtag and it's hard to even tell which one it is
I don't
that
know,
is
but you
that
get
has
a
triggered the
load of
bots.
people who say, DM me, bring it here, DM me,
Yes.
DM me, DM. I get the
Yes.
most weird things. I had one yesterday, and I can see that he requested. And I already know it's a guy, he has a private account. This is not about my art. And then my account is Karenmerk's fine art. And then you ask me, are you the one who makes the art? And I have like, come on, you're not that stupid. But it takes so much time to rule them out. And what I figured also is that when you have your Instagram stories, all those sex accounts under it, it's really, I have done so much reporting and blocking, but it takes all of my time. Now, the last few weeks, I haven't had them, or hardly. I think I blocked them all out now. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that is,
It's
yeah,
it's really challenging and it is really time consuming. And
very,
I
very,
think that if maybe trying post without hashtags for a while and see what happens. And
yeah.
I've done this a few times, and especially for whatever reason on Reels, if I don't have any hashtags on the reel, I don't get all the crazy people.
Mm.
And, with Lisa's account, because she had such a big following, that was a continual problem when I remember a certain time when it was all Bitcoin stuff.
Oh God, yeah. I have
Yeah,
them
all the
too. Yeah,
Bitcoin comments
yeah.
and everything. And unfortunately, there's not, I'm not sure, Instagram isn't very transparent about how their account security works as far as, fake accounts and people who are bothering you or people who are spamming or people who are in your comments saying things completely unrelated and trying to get you to click on their stuff. And I'm really happy that HubSpot came out and they analyzed all those millions of accounts and millions of posts and said, you know what, they haven't found really any evidence that it makes any difference.
No,
And so to me, that's just like one less thing. Think about all the time you've just freed up for yourself, not researching and typing in hashtags.
exactly. All the hashtags. Yeah, and it is true. And I follow an artist who I really admire, a portrait artist, and she asked her following, and she has a huge following, if they could report a fake account. Someone created a fake account, and you can do that. Well, when you have this blue tag next to your name, you can go into your app and you can easily say, okay, this is the celebrity, and they take them out.
Yeah.
But if you haven't, you need to go to the computer, you need to go to Instagram help, and there you have to fill in a form, get your ID, and then they will take them out. But it's really annoying.
Yeah. It is
And
really annoying.
I had so many times you block these idiots and you get a reply that's probably something robot
Just,
like.
yeah, it's just a,
We
it's
can't
just an
find
automatic
anything
reply.
wrong with this account. And it's
Yeah.
like,
I know it's I actually had someone message me yesterday about this exact same situation that you were describing where it says, promote it here or
Yeah.
uh and she said, what do I do about these? Do I ignore them? Do I delete them? Do I report them? Do I block them? Do I engage with them? What do I do? I said, well, number one, don't engage with them because that only will encourage more.
Yeah.
And I looked at the hashtags in her post and she had about, you know, 25 of them. And whenever you have hashtags that more than like 200,000 people use, because you get that little number behind the hashtags, those are all triggered, bot triggers. Anything a million or more
Ah.
is a bot trigger. And
Ah.
so I
Yeah.
think that, Karen, you'll find if you leave out your hashtags for a while, that those kinds of time consuming, promotional, spammy comments and inboxes, you may see a reduction in those. I hope you do.
I
Um,
already see them because I ignored them. First, I was deleting them, deleting them, deleting them, and I had like leave it. Just don't do anything. Leave it.
right, right.
And I have no anymore. Yeah.
Well, because they're waiting to see what happens, right? It's
Yeah.
like in the US when you get the robocall from, it says it's from your local area, but it's not.
Yeah.
And if you pick the call up, then they click off and then they're like, aha, somebody's answering that phone. And then your number goes to, 100 more people who are going to do that to you. So
Yeah.
by not picking up that comment, you're just letting them know that, hey, there's no interest here. This person isn't going to buy this. And I don't think most people do. I think that people are smarter than many marketers give them credit for. I think that individuals are savvy enough most of the time to figure out if someone's being fake or someone's just trying to sell them something, or if it's a spammy account or, some weirdo guy who wants you to, like, hey, you shouldn't wear glasses because your face is too pretty or some nonsense.
Oh
I'm always
God.
like,
Yeah. Mm.
yeah, buy, report,
Mm.
go away.
Mm.
I think I put a meme up in the group, something about, hey you people, hey you guys doing this. None of us want to talk to any of you, so just stop it,
Yeah.
you know. Um, but anything you can do to save time, because really, you're a magnificent artist. The highest value activity for you to be doing with your time is not to be, deleting all these spammy comments, right? That's taking away from your creative time. That's taking away from your recharging time. It's taking away from, times better spent doing other things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it gives this feeling. And I know a lot of artists have like, oh God. Um, it gives the feeling that uh, the whole marketing thing is not what you want to do, because the
No,
only thing you do is, and then you hope you have comments so that you can say something, and it's those
right.
idiots. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really don't even like, uh, the term social media marketing anymore for myself because I think it's more social media communication. It's more social communication. It's all, um, I did a talk for another group of Lisas where I saw a lot of people that I had had as students from her programs on the call. And one of the things that somebody said, she was an energy worker and she said, I'm just not comfortable being there anymore because it feels like there's so much darkness.
Yeah.
And I said, that's why it's more important than ever for you to be there because people are looking for the light. And if you let the darkness take over and just, lay down and let it happen,
Yeah.
um, people are looking for your contribution. Just,
Exactly. And another thing I found, by the way, you can mute people. So when I
yes,
see people who are in Facebook or on Twitter, or even Instagram, who are constantly negative about what's going on in the world, I don't want that energy. I
no, I
feel
don't
that, and that
either.
doesn't make me happy. And I just mute them. And if
Yes,
I
that's
don't
really an
have to
important
delete them, then
point.
just mute them.
That's really an important point because I don't think a lot of people understand that they can mute people. You can
Mm,
mute their feed, you can mute their story
yeah,
without, unfollowing them.
yeah,
And you can decide to go back later if you want to search for them and look for them and see if they've gotten any more positive. But, doing some house cleaning every once in a while can really improve how you feel about what you're doing.
yeah,
I know you notice I post a lot of stuff that's funny
yeah,
or
yeah, 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 yeah,
emotional.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I really love there was a baby laughing. His big brother was making like a pig noise and the little baby was laughing. I don't know, but that little baby laughing noise just like made me smile. And I always think about with Lisa and I would talk about if I'm not inspiring you, if I'm not educating you, and I'm not making you feel an emotion, especially joy,
Yeah,
happiness. If you're not touching somebody's heart in a positive way, then don't say it. Don't do it. Don't even put it out there.
yeah. Stay
So,
away. Yeah,
right, stay away. So
yeah,
I too really have I spent a lot of time paring down my feed and muting some things and unfollowing some things. And I think that the more positive energy that goes out, the better, and I don't want to entertain the negative stuff. So what I said to her was be a light. Don't pay any attention to all the other dark stuff. Remove it from your feed. People are looking for you. People are scrolling, looking for something inspirational, looking for something positive, looking for something beautiful. Um, so if it's your portraiture or if it's a beautiful quote or it's, you know, I love seeing all the dancing stuff lately. I don't know why I'm seeing a lot more dancers. I even like to watch the roller skaters that roller skate to the music because it's soothing, it's beautiful,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
positive energy, it's self-expression, it's contributing to the good energy. It's
Yeah.
not putting more darkness in there.
Exactly. I have that with cats lately, but you understand why that is. They're so
Yeah,
cute.
I show my husband your cat portrait. He just loved it.
Uh,
Because he's an artist, but became an architect, but he still sketches and draws, and he loved the expression that you
mhm.
had on the kitty's face. He's like, that's just fantastic. She's got it spot on. That little curious,
That curious gaze.
expression.
Yeah,
You really
yeah.
captured it perfectly.
But
Um,
that's when you look at people, you see that you see inside people, and when you look at the animals, it's the same.
yeah.
Some are grumpy. Someone showed a cat, and she said, "This is one has has Yoda ears. The ears were like that." And his eyes had the eyelids were like half hanging, and he looked like but it was so funny to see. They
Yeah,
have an expression of themselves.
it is. It
Yeah,
is.
and the eyes speak. But yeah, anyway, artists need to do marketing, but it takes time, and planning is not always helping. What is your
No.
view on using apps that help you plan and post? Some say the algorithm knows and it's not good, and others say it doesn't matter.
Um, so I don't think that Facebook would allow integration with all these third-party apps because they have to give them permission. Otherwise, it doesn't work. They can't just like be a pirate out there making these apps. And what I always say that is that if it's the difference between putting content out and no content at all, then putting it out there is better than not putting it out there. And if you're someone who isn't comfortable with a totally like some people want everything planned out. They want to know every single post for the next 3 months. I always say then you don't want to work with me because I like to feel like what are the trends, what's going on in the world, how are people feeling, what do people need to hear? And yes, there are planned posts sprinkled in, like maybe there's 3 planned posts a week, but I can't tell you what I'm gonna feel like you should be saying every single day, 3 months from now, but it depends on the content. So like for somebody like Lisa, who is motivational, inspirational, transformational kind of person, she's got her finger on the pulse of, you know,
Yeah,
what's happening, what's the energy in the world, what do I need to be putting out to counteract all this other negative stuff? So that's a different situation. And for an artist, you don't know what you're going to be painting 2 months from now, right?
No, but there's another thing, because what I
Yeah.
feel very strong in you is you have the same brain type as I have. And
Uh,
I try to plan it, but I can't because I'm under the shower and I have three ideas. I come out of the shower and I type it up and I create my posts and I know what to place. I know it takes time, but it works best for me.
right,
If I say,
right,
okay, I started out with having a theme. Each week I had a specific theme, or each month I had a theme, and the theme
right.
was then blah blah blah, and I made my post, and I did Facebook lives, and the newsletter was about that, and so you plan 4 weeks ahead, and I did it
Yeah,
every day alive, and at one point it's boring, so
yeah.
I can't stand that. It gets boring. That's
Well,
how my brain works. And
I
and so
used to I used to have this thing called the 30-day challenge where I would challenge people to post 30 days in a row. And I I don't want to promote that anymore because I feel like consistency is a personal thing. You may only feel inspired or have the time to be consistent posting twice a week. If that's your commitment twice a week, then that's your commitment. People who post multiple times per day,
yeah,
actually, those are the accounts I tend to hide or mute after a while because I don't need to hear from somebody 3, 4 times a day.
yeah.
I just don't, you know. And when I was working for John, I had to create 6 posts a day every day, 365 days a year.
Wow.
6.
Yeah, because that's another
You
a
burn
question.
out. You burn
Yeah,
out. I
yeah.
would rather have someone who is, if you say I'm going to commit to one live and one other post per week, uh, I'm happy with that. Because if that's what you can commit to, that's your consistency. The algorithm picks up that, okay, that she's posting once a week. The other good thing about taking a break, like if you need to take a break and back off and regroup and figure out what you want to do, or you're rebranding or you're shifting into another phase, it's okay to step back because what happens is when you come back, Facebook and Instagram send messages that say, hey, Karen hasn't posted in a while. You may want to see this new post from her.
Mm,
And they don't do that if you post every day.
no.
But if you give yourself a break and then you post something, it tells everybody who follows you that you're posting for the first time in a while and you should go check this out. And I always am hooked into that when it says, Margaret Packer hasn't posted in her story for a while. She
Yeah,
just posted today. I will go and see what it is.
yeah, yeah.
So,
That is funny because what I see lately, they give all kind of notifications. You have um, keep up the good work. Your page gets noticed
yes.
all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, fantastic! It's growing. And sometimes I have like, shut up.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I don't like I'm trying to get something done. I don't want to see that either. But I do appreciate that they're trying to be encouraging. Uh, but I really like that they notify me when somebody hasn't posted in a while
Mm,
because that tells me it everyone has permission to take a break.
yeah,
And I feel like everyone feels like they need to be on every day and produce viral
yeah,
content,
yeah,
and you have this brick
yeah,
on your head of, oh my gosh, I have to wake up and
yeah,
serve to the
yeah,
world this life-changing, perfect, whatever,
yeah. Yeah, I
you
see
know.
that. And that is my role model in art business.
Here's my
And I
magic wand to say, you don't have to do that anymore.
thank you. I'm inspired by this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
because taking a break sometimes can be the biggest inspiration.
yeah. That's
Taking
true. Sometimes you have to
deciding
regroup
I'm
with
not going to be
yourself. Yeah.
on social media this week. I'm going to go make sure I can go for a walk in the park, or I can take my dogs in the woods, or, we're having unusually warm, beautiful weather here. Normally in November in Vermont, there's snow on the ground and it's 65 degrees today, Fahrenheit. It's a
Mm,
beautiful, sunny day, which, you know, I don't want to be worrying about creating a post a viral post on social media. I want to go enjoy the sunshine with my animals. And I think then you come back and you sit down and you just feel your energy is better. And I think your energy comes through in your posts. I can tell when somebody's had a bad day when I hear their voice or I read their copy or I look at the image they put out and I feel like they've just shoved it out there because they feel like they had to. And it didn't come from an authentic place. It came from a place of pressure
Yeah.
and a place of shoulda. And if you hear I should, just don't. Stop shoulding on yourself and don't be, don't fall into that should trap anymore because there's so much more competition on the feed. And people I know there's a lot of people that are still really concerned about followers. And if they're not the right followers, you're really shooting yourself in the foot. You don't
Yeah.
want to appeal to everyone.
Yeah.
You want to appeal to your people. So if you show up as your authentic self and aren't trying to please other people that you think you should be, marketing to, it's going to be so much more effective and you're going to connect with the people who want to be connected to you and who are your ideal connections. I don't even want to say audience or clients. They're your ideal connections. They're
Yeah.
people who are passionate about what you do. They have similar interests. They're excited when they see, any new post that you've put up. I love your process videos where you show how you're sketching an eye or you're working with charcoal and it's kind of like a time lapse
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Yeah.
video.
Yeah.
I am mesmerized by those. And so for artists who are thinking, I don't have time in my day to create content or worry about something, do a short process
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
because you
I
can set
know
that up while you're
it's
working.
amazing. I know people love it. And I
Yeah.
thought about doing it with the cat and then I forget. I just forget
Yeah.
because I start painting and I'm like, oh gosh, I should have done this and this.
So Megan
Yeah.
Makita, who's an artist, turned me on to this company called Canvas, and they make these lights where your phone fits in and you just set it up
Mm-hmm.
and it has a remote and it will start recording what you're doing without you having to, think about it too much. But anything you can do just to sort of remind yourself to turn the camera on when you're creating to do
Yeah.
those kind of process videos,
Yeah.
not only are you pulling people in who might not ordinarily look at something that's a still photo, you're creating engagement, you're showing your skill, you're showing your creativity. It's mesmerizing. And I feel like people become uh, connected to you seeing the process.
Yeah. 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 I have to see because you have seen maybe yesterday I did this from the Iranian woman that was killed to
Yeah.
support in Saturday Night Live art shows. One of my artist friends um, in the latest or the last revolution in 97 or something, she said she was 2 years old and her parents had to run from it. So she's supporting that and feel that she's so alone in that.
Yeah.
We should all support also her in supporting the women in Iran. It's so
Right.
important. And I had like, okay, so I will see because probably I have a time lapse, a short time lapse from that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Um, because it's kind of deconstructing the
Yeah,
end result
yeah,
and people are fascinated by the process.
yeah,
And so for busy artists who think I just don't have time to worry about this, you could just turn your camera on and make videos of that and you could save them all up on your phone and then someday when you're not inspired to pick up the charcoal or a paintbrush or sculpt or whatever your mode of art is, that's the day when you say, okay, I'm going to go in and I've made all these videos and I'm going to schedule them out for the next how twice a week. I have a month's worth of content if I have 8 videos, right? If I'm doing
yeah,
2 times a week, two
yeah,
times 4 is 8, you have a month's worth of stuff. You can schedule it, you can put in a little description and you can let it fly.
yeah,
And then it frees up a whole nother month for you to be inside of your art and do the highest producing activity only you can do, which is probably not, worrying about spam bots on social media. And, that's when scheduling really works, is when you're not thinking about it and you're just compiling images and videos and information and things that you might be inspired by, or, this is what my studio looks like, or this is what my
Yeah.
workspace looks like. Behind the scenes stuff is always really great. Um, and like you said, I've seen your post about going to the Saturday Night Live art shows, and those are great because it's nice to see people out in an event, with the art in a space and people enjoying and looking and being inspired by the art. That's all great content. So it doesn't have to be sitting down and deciding, oh gosh, what am I going to do today? You
Mm.
can just use the camera on your phone, and as you feel inspired, just collect a bunch of stuff. And then on a day when you're not working on your art or inside of your art or creating anything, that's the day when you have a hot cup of tea and it's raining and you just want to curl up in a blanket and you
A
know
burrito day.
pet the cat. That's the day to take your phone out and say, oh wow, I really did take a lot of pictures and I did a lot of videos. I think I'm going to go in and schedule these. And
Yeah.
and there have been so many glitches in Creator Studio on Facebook and Instagram lately
Yeah.
that I've been using Post Planner, which is old school, and I've used it ever
Yeah.
since I met them in New York City. Um, I've been using Post Planner because they post to everything. They even let you do the first comment on an Instagram scheduled post.
I think I still have, because I do that, I take photos of um, the process. So I do that.
Yep,
That's not filmed, but yeah. So
right. And
yeah,
if you decide you want to schedule something, every month, every week or something that's not a video or a photo, I think education is so important because people may not understand the terminology.
yeah,
You could break down some terminology, or what's the difference between charcoal and watercolor and oil as an artist, or, do some education posts, which can easily be scheduled in advance.
yeah.
Where you just
That's
make a
true.
graphic
Yeah,
that has a term and you just define it and you decide, okay, every Monday, I'm just going to post a term for the week and schedule that all in, so that if you become busy or something happens, or, life happens, at least you have one post going out a week.
yeah,
And then going back, and you have a lot of content. You're like a content machine. You have so much content you've already generated. You could go back and repurpose other pieces of content and do it as a look back, right? On what you
yeah. That's a
did.
good idea too.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could go back and repurpose some content, like, you know, uh, 3 years ago, I was working on this, and this is where I was at, and, just doing like a little flashback or a look back. And people love to see that because people that are looking at your account today aren't necessarily the same people who saw it 3 years ago when you posted
no,
it.
no, no.
So
Oh, and
that
it's
creates,
yeah, and it's
yeah,
funny because you sometimes have people in your account, and I have them. They always are in my stories. Every time I post something, they are there.
yeah,
They never answer a question, never, but they are always there. And sometimes because from the story you can only put a personal message,
right.
and I ask them, what is it? What specifically is it that you like about my art? And they're very shy. It's like I get a big smile and that's it. But
Well, I think, when you ask that question, people who are an artist may not have the terminology or vocabulary, so they feel like they couldn't adequately express what it is
yeah,
that they like. And so
yeah,
maybe that education piece about um, ways to look at art, ways to appreciate art, what is the vocabulary used to appreciate art, that may help with people answering those questions. Because I know when you asked me, I was like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I'm not an artist. I don't know what to say. I just
hmm,
really like it, you know? So maybe providing people with the vocabulary that they would feel more comfortable telling you, like maybe if you made it multiple choice and said, what do you like best about this painting? The colors, the light, whatever vocabulary that people would use to describe your work, people are much more likely to pick a multiple choice than they are to type something in.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you could start to educate them about ways to respond to art where they feel comfortable, because it's almost like, someone who doesn't know anything about social media, they don't want to feel dumb, right?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah. And
they
the
don't want to
same, you
feel,
think the same is for,
yes,
yeah, for people
right.
who,
So I'm afraid I'm
yeah.
going to say something wrong. What if I say the wrong thing? I don't want to offend her because I really love the painting,
Mm-hmm.
but is she looking for something specific from me and I don't have the vocabulary,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's a
I
good tip for me, but I think for
Yeah,
many artists who will listen back to this,
yeah.
you're not, you don't think about that people don't
Because
have the
for someone like me, like what you create is magic. Like I just can't even fathom doing that. I would never think I could do that. And that's kind of how people are who've never been on social media, and they like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. Well, yes, you can if you break it down. And
Yeah.
so I think if you want to know what they like about your painting, I would give them multiple choice and start to educate them on the proper vocabulary so they feel empowered not only to appreciate what you're doing, but what other people are doing. And it just increases the knowledge about vocabulary and the way to express yourself about looking at someone's art. It just expands that for everyone. So I think that would be awesome.
Mm, thank you. Great tip. Fantastic. So, if you had a chance to meet your role model and ask a question, who would be your role model and what would you ask?
Hmm. Oh my gosh. When I think about role models, I just always think about my dad, you know?
Mm.
And if I could ask him one more question, I would say, how do you think I'm doing? You know, what do you think about what I'm doing? Um, he didn't live long enough to see me do this.
But you know what he would say. He would say, "You're awesome."
Yeah.
And
Well,
otherwise, I say it for him.
yeah, my husband always says that I have two brothers and they are not mechanically inclined at all. Sorry, guys, if you're watching this, you're just not. And my Damien says, you know, you have the engineer's brain. And my dad was, he was born in a time where the acceptable jobs for women were teacher, nurse, and secretary.
Yeah.
So, when I went to college in 1980, girls didn't go to engineering school in the United States. They just didn't. And if you did go, they made it so miserable for you. You were lucky if you could finish.
Mhm.
Um, but I think it's okay because uh, that gift he gave me of knowing that I can figure something out and wanting to figure out things I don't know how to do. I think as a role model, that was amazing to me. And yeah, I would like to ask him. He's my role model, really. And I would want to ask him, what do you think about what I'm doing? And is there a way that you think I could do it better? Because he would have a suggestion for how I could make it better. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's what I would want to
Ah,
know from
that's
him.
lovely. That's
Yeah.
lovely. Okay, where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn. They can find me on Facebook. It says Lori Lou Turner with a LU because Lori
Mhm.
Turner are such common names. I think there's like 500 and some if you search for me on Facebook. So
Mhm.
I have my middle name in there, Lou LU. There's not any other Lori Lou's. It's just me. It's the same on Instagram and, any of those places you can find me. I don't have a website just because I get so many inboxes from people and so many, personal conversations. And that's really where the people I work with come from. Like they either hire me to do, you know, I just had someone reach out and want to do a VIP day with me. They're going to fly to Vermont. We're going to just spend the whole day. I'm going to sit next to her. We're going to do all the things. And then I do some free coaching in the group. So if you're interested in joining the group that Karen's in with me, you can reach out to Karen and she can connect you. I can give her the link. But yeah, I am kind of a rebel by not having a website, and I really don't want one. So
I love that.
I like to work with people I get to know.
Yeah,
And if I had a website, I don't know that I would know the people that were visiting. So I want to know who you are and,
yeah,
have that
yeah,
conversation and have that feeling of community.
yeah. Yeah, you're a people's
Call me
person.
crazy. Call me
No, you're
crazy.
not. You're not crazy. No, it's not crazy. It's good that we still have that because,
Yeah,
uh, everything is digital nowadays. Everything is,
right.
and oh yeah, yeah, go to my website. I have a contact page on my website. Just write me an email. I have no time
Yeah.
now. No,
No,
we
I'm an
have to we
analog
have to
girl.
connect. We have to connect with each other. We have to, yeah, we are
I'm an
social
analog
animals.
girl in a digital world. So, um, I have some coaches saying you're leaving so much money on the table, and I'm like, that's okay. I don't like that table. Like I like my old beat up kitchen table where I feel like, if you lived near me, I would love to have you over for coffee and, or a party or something at the house. That's the way I want to feel with all the people that I'm connected with, and everyone in our group I feel that way about.
Yeah.
So
But
that's sort
that's
of
the
my
warmth
criteria.
you have. That's the warmth that you ripple out to everyone because everyone loves you in the group. It's a
Yeah.
warm
I
group,
love all of them.
always.
My criteria was like, well, would I invite her over for coffee? Yes. Well, then, okay, where this is happening.
Mm,
So that's,
mm,
I just, for me at this age, I think I get to choose what I want my business to look like and what my clients, I don't like that word clients. What my connections are like and the people that I collaborate with. I feel like I should get to choose that.
yeah.
I
I
spent so
think
much of my life
everyone
not
should, to be
choosing.
honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I spent
Yeah.
so much of my life not choosing
Yeah.
that. That now it's such a joy for me. And to be able to, as my mother-in-law would say, prep for finals and spend my last semester doing the things I love.
Hmm.
I feel really lucky.
Okay. Thank you so much, Laurie, for
Oh, you're
being
so
with me.
welcome.
And
I enjoyed it so much. I love talking to you.
we can go on forever.
I know, I know. I think either I have to come to London or you'll have to come and visit us in Vermont.
I will because I like a rural area and
Yeah, there's
the
a
idea
big
of,
there's a
yeah.
big group of plein air painters who come and visit our area all
Mm,
the time. There's a big art community here. So I would love for you to come and visit. There's
I
space in the
will.
guest house.
I will. Anyway,
Okay.
thank you so much.
You're so welcome.